Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Chaos-Reighn here. Now I'm here to bring you the decently min-maxed Ice-Shot variant. This is using mostly uniques with the exception of crafted gloves. I'm going to start with a 6-link Death Opus with gem links of Cold Pin Awakened, Inspiration, Awakened Chain, Awakened LE damage with attacks, added cold, and Ice Shot. Then I have a Azaneth's Chant with Sniper's Mark, Blood Rage, Enhance 4, and Hydrosphere, excuse me. Sorry. Then I have a Hiri's Ire with Barrage Support, Inspiration, Ice Shot, Awaken Added Cold, Awaken Cold Damage, or Cold Pin I mean, and LE damage with attacks awaken. I have 2 Tamings, a replica Hiri's Truth with a with damage catalyst on them because it has a decent amount of damage. Now I used to have the life and mana one. When that Hatred Reserve Less had the mana tag, it was actually pretty cool to reserve 60% less. Now it's only 50% no matter what catalyst you use, so I just use the attack ones. You can use the crit ones, the new ones, if you want. I'm using a Hiri's Demise, and here's my reasoning. I do mostly crit, and when I crit, I will Shock Ignite and Chill. Now, when I inflict ailments on enemies, such as Freeze, Shock, Ignite, or Chill, well, no, it says per Freeze, Shock, or Ignite on an enemy, I get 20% increased damage, and this is per Taming Ring. So that ends up being 60 times 2, which is 120% increased damage. I have still the Torrent Reclamation, and now I use Torrent Reclamation because it gives a lot of innate attack speed, cooldown recovery, and debuffs expire faster on you. On top of the life recovery rate, which is helpful for Life Leech. And then I also have the Atziri's Step as my boots. It's a roundabout of spell dodge, a little bit of movement speed, some life, and a really good evasion on them. They don't have quality, and not worried about that. In my boots, I have Dash, Second Wind, and then my 2 auras, which is level 20 Precision and level 20 Herald of Ice. I am using these because I am granted a level 22 Hatred with a Replica Hiri's Truth, and that's the highest number you can get for that without using a, Empower. I am using Frostbite. I am using Ensnaring Arrow with Awakened Hex Touch attached to Frostbite and Elemental Weakness. This applies 2 curses here by itself. I can apply 1 additional curse right here, so that's 3 curses. That's why I apply a Sniper's Mark here. As for my tree, it's pretty much the same tree that you saw in the budget variant of the video. Instead of some of the nodes, I have actually went out of my way. I took out these 2 nodes. They're really good. They help you with damage, but you can get a lot more with clusters and with the other nodes I took. My resistances are all over caps, so I managed to be able to take out this right here and still was able to use my Inspired Learning. So with the Inspired Learning Spect, I actually need to post right there, or put a node right there, so hold on. There we go. Now my Inspired Learning is working. And then I go down here. Now we use 2 of my 3 nodes. I actually have an empty jewel slot here, which I'm going to put in here shortly. I'm just going over what I have. Then I have Phase Acro, so on and so forth for the dodge. We have Evade Chance with Res and our Inspired Learning notable here. We took all of these nodes down here because these all give attack speed. And at the end of it, you end up with, like, let's see, that's 4, 8, 12, plus 12, 24% attack speed with bows. That's nuts. I unspec'd the penetration here and here, and I did that for one huge reason. That's because I'm using Frostbite and Elemental Weakness already, and I'm also using Ensnaring Arrow, which will make up for any penetration. I still have the life node spec and the crit node spec here. Now let's do a quick little search real quick, see if we can find a jewel we can put in there. Obviously, because this is a min-max variant, I will be using a double or triple multi-jewel. So let's see, this is multiplier, multiplier. That's fine, this is a double multi. Okay. Now, because Harvest is still around to some extent, these are viable. All you have to do is reforge crit, and since that's probably the only craft you're ever going to get, you just keep going until you get cold. Or you can reforge cold on a Viridian until you get regular multi, crit multi, and then if you ever see it, non-crit, add crit. I am still using the 5 passive voices. I don't know what prices will be like either after I post this vid or whatever, but when I was buying them, they were only like 10x. These have really went down. I am using 3 crit clusters. All 3 have just crit chance and then quick getaway so I can move around the map faster. I don't have double damage because I don't really need it. I don't have point blank spect because my Hiri's Demise has point blank corrupted on it. And other than that, it's the same trees you saw in the budget version aside from the little tiny addition and modification they made by speccing in this node. So let's put in a map and see the difference here. Let's see, we don't have anything showing up, so let's just go quick like and run a couple maps, shall we? Now, one of the obvious things is because I have so much more attack speed and because I have my curses, I'm able to apply 3 curses instead of 2. I am going to be doing a noticeable amount more damage, and you're about to see. Oh, I need to summon my Harbinger.
Its body contorts weightlessly in the vast emptiness, twisting and dividing, etching scars in the darkness. Light spills through the rift, and a vast army follows, clamoring to be seen and sanctified by the
As you see, things are just being deleted. These are Redeemer mods, and Redeemer mobs have a natural... Oh, well... Oof. Well, that sucks. Looks like I got 1 tap by something. I did forget to show my gloves. My gloves are temple modded gloves that I hit with Warlord Exalts. That's all it is. It's just I bought the temple modded gloves back in Delirium League, and I kept hitting it with Warlord Exalts until they got projectile damage. If they didn't, I'd put them back on the market for a little bit above the price of the Warlord Exalt. And a lot of times people would buy them because there are people who maybe they want to use a cool influenced, pair of gloves with damage against shield enemies. I personally I think it was my 7th or 8th attempt and I got it. It's a very easy craft to do. It's very inexpensive. You don't really need to worry about breaking the bank on anything. Well, it looks like the other guys escaped, which is kind of crappy. Alright, Aisling, sure.
The question now, Exile, is whether or not you're foolish enough to face it.
All in all, I think my Hiri's Demise is probably a little bit more on the pricier end of my uniques. The Death Opus 6 Link is really relatively budget. Everything else is relatively budget. My flasks, I forgot to mention the flasks. The only change between this variant of Ice-Shot and the budget variant is the fact that I actually have a Bottled Faith instead of my crit flask, and I don't have the crit flask because I have 70% crit without any kind of charges to up the crit, so I felt like this would be a better use because base crit will basically put me to 100 on classes. I don't really need 100 crit on other things. Now you could always use any kind of what do you call it? Let me put a portal up. Sorry, I'm focusing on not dying here. Perfect. Okay, you could always use any kind of setup you want to as far as your, curse on hits and stuff like that. I find this setup to be a little bit more consistent and a little bit more damage in the overall. And as you see, my mana actually is, I'm actually able to reserve one more skill. So if I want to, I can drop like this enhance, put more one excuse me, put one more red socket in there, and I can either put blood and sand, or I can put like or flesh and stone, I think it is, the one that blinds nearby enemies, or I can put I think the other one I like to do is Herald of Ash, and Herald of Ash just kind of gives you an extra bit of clear, because all the overkill damage you do ends up exploding into more damage and clearing things. It also helps a little bit on your single target because you are gaining a percent of fizz as fire.
So, you...
Ah, what bloody ruckus have you got us into?
Obviously with the dodge flask, it's pretty hard for you to get
Even
hit.
better with a weapon than with words.
Alright, there we go. I got everyone down. Just execute real
Did you
quick.
set out to become your
Bargain.
wise choice?
Thanks to
I don't care. Thank you. So that time was pretty easy. Just a quick little barrage and they're dead. Looks like I spawned a Redeemer. I actually forgot to skill my dash. If you can't tell, I don't have dash skilled right now. So I don't really have an option to evade enemies aside from literally just running away from them. When I get to the boss room, I think I'll change that. From the looks of it, I also don't have my my little node spec to make it so I don't take burning ground damage, and that's normally a node I always take. It's like the only static node that I've found to be extremely useful. Other than that, it's personal preference on your gods. Your pantheon doesn't really matter to me too much. There's more dodge, more damage reduction, etc., which is whatever. All right, before I forget, I'm gonna put dash here, and I'm gonna put my ensnaring arrow here. Let's make sure everything's in. All right. So again, as you see, I am actually deleting Redeemer mobs who have a natural cold resistance to them that helps them live. And I just deleted that boss. Now he's going to go back to the middle and do his thing. Now I'm not using a headhunter, mainly because I'm trying to mimic building this build without relying on a headhunter. Instead I use the torrent reclamation belt. As you saw there, I was able to instantly dispatch the boss when it came back up. Now, the ensnaring arrow I initially had was level 1, so it didn't give you the full benefit of its ability, but ensnaring arrow increases the amount of damage, projectile damage enemies take, along with slowing them a little bit. Slowing them even further with an Ice-Shot build is pretty good. It's pretty strong. It allows you to do all kinds of things. Now, the fact that the Death's Opus naturally has a 7.50 base crit makes it so you can build this build extremely easy with high crit on an easy affordable budget. So it looks like it's only one more map for my Redeemer. From the looks of it, I ended up getting a 3 spawner or a 3 mapper, and that'll be a good test to end the video on, so you guys can kind of take a look at what we're looking at towards in-game bossing. We are on Awakener 8. There's no, I'm not pulling any punches. All my maps are Awakener 8. There are, they are as juice as I can get. My Atlas is 100% completed, I think, aside from maybe 1 or 2 from the new maps that I just either didn't remember to complete or anything like that. Alright, looks like... yeah. Redeemer is coming to taunt me and say hi and complain that she's gonna die in a second, you know, the usual. See, as you can tell, I am having no issues clearing several packs at a time. Things are dying off screen even. You can actually up this a little more as far as your clear and lower your crit if you decide to do this.
You're
Oh.
the Centauri to my chitters. You know what to do.
More
Beg for your life.
My head just keeps trying to leave my shoulders.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So let me real quick do this real quick.
Death holds no terror for me, Exile.
I don't really care about any of these guys. I'm just gonna execute. Let's just kill this guy.
I'm no trick.
Execute. Put him in there.
What if I told you? What if I?
Yeah, whatever.
Ah, brilliant. That was...
Sure. Okay.
I'm going to kill you, Giannis.
All right.
Just not yet.
Anyway, as I was saying, you can actually drop a crit cluster right here for even more clear speed and clearability. And the way you do that is you use those 4 nodes in your clear, those 4 nodes you have in a crit cluster. You'll drop to about a 60% crit chance and lose a little bit of movement speed, but you will be easily able to pick up those chain nodes, and those chain nodes will allow you to chain further distances, meaning instead of you maybe losing out on a chain or 2 of damage, you will be able to chain further away to kill, basically to kill packs further away. Oh, I gotta be careful. Just quickly kill him. He's still not dead. There we go. Just quick, like, get everything dead. So let's curse it, and then... Oh, come on, why aren't you getting hit? There we go. Now, as you saw, that was a little bit more annoying. It doesn't look like there's any mods that... There we go, there is. No, I was lying. Less effective curses. The less effective curses is really annoying when I have 3 curses being applied, so that's probably why I didn't die like instantly. But it shouldn't make too much of a difference. For the sake of the video, I am actually going to show you what the clear speed is like if you do this setup. You can, just an example, I'm going to take out this cluster, put this here, put this here, then I'm going to go over here with my 4 nodes that I just got, and we can actually go 1, 2, 3, 4. So the biggest part here is, let's see, projectiles deal damage from hits and targets they chain from, 20% increased damage for each chain. Right here, the increased chaining range on these 2. So 30% increased chaining range essentially means that I get to clear things a lot better, and it's a matter of, you know, do you want to crit more often or do you want to clear better? And for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna show you what it looks like when it's clearing a little better. The difference should be pretty night and day. You'll see me chain around corners essentially. Now, as I said before in my old video, there is a kind of an issue with Hydrosphere. You need to be able to pierce or chain or something like that, so I am going to actually unspec the node for focal point so you guys can see what I mean. Because my single target has 0 chain links currently. There we go. Let's just quickly dispatch everything.
I'm not up to that just yet.
I hate this map. It's so... There we go. It's so wide. Alright, there he is. And right there, that's the difference in your single target whenever you have one chain or one pierce versus 0. And that's because when you're shooting your single target attack, the barrage ice shot, what ends up happening is you hit the enemy and your projectile stops. So after, the answer to that is giving yourself at least one chain, and then all you do is this. And she's dead. So that was about 7 or 8 barrages. Now on the min-max version, you can get that down to 2.5 to 3 barrages. However, you know, min-maxing it requires several mirrors worth of investment. This is very respectable damage for not having a min-max, and I honestly would recommend you giving it a shot. So, long story short, a lot of this damage that you're going to see is actually kind of carried from the Hydrosphere. Hydrosphere itself does a bit of base damage, and when you hit it, it deals more damage to an enemy. I actually don't have any quality on mine, so because, as I explained this, I'm going to put quality on. So the way it works is that I hit the enemy for the initial hit, and then it chains off of the enemy and onto my Hydrosphere. And after chaining onto the Hydrosphere, it causes the Hydrosphere to do some more damage, and then it also hits the Hydrosphere. And if the Hydrosphere is right behind the enemy, it basically means it'll hit my enemy, it then will chain to the Hydrosphere. It'll then hit the Hydrosphere, exploding a second time as Ice-Shot normally does. And if they're placed at a decent enough angle, the explosion will hit them twice for the initial hit, and then the chain to the Hydrosphere, making it so you can basically double up your damage, on top of which you do more damage with the Hydrosphere itself, making it so you do almost triple the amount of damage to the enemy upon hitting the Hydrosphere. You can use this without the Azanath's chant. I only use the Azanath's chant because I don't like hard casting Hydrosphere. I also like Hydrosphere during mapping, and I feel like the Azanath's chant is an incredible way to apply Hydrosphere. So you can take what you will from this video. This is a video using mostly uniques and an easy craft. I'd have, if you were to put a price on investment, I would say the bow is like 3 or 4x. The 6-link Ire is about maybe 8x. Rings 2x each. The helm 2x, hopefully. The belt maybe 10. The boots 1. The amulet 1. The quiver 1. You're looking at 30x just in gear. 35 if you include the gloves. You don't have to use these gloves. Mine are just kind of decent with reses. You can use just like damage with reses and you'll be fine. The awakened gems themselves is probably another really big factor on why it costs so much for this build, but they're not necessary. You could run it without, as you saw in my budget video. I deleted Drox essentially. Didn't really delete him, but I did a really respectable damage. Now, if you do enjoy this video, if if this information was helpful, if you can like, subscribe, and maybe recommend this build and recommend this to your friends. I've played Ice-Shot for going on 2 years now, every single league, and I know the ins and outs of it, no matter how, how crazy expensive it be or how super cheap it be. It's always going to be one of my favorite builds. Appreciate you joining me. Take it easy, y'all.